And we're live.
You mentioned that you learned a lot of English off the start from watching TV shows and movies and stuff. Was there anything that was lost in translation that you figured out later where you're like, oh, I shouldn't be saying things like that, or oh, that doesn't mean at all what I thought it did? Because it seems like I imagine if I had to learn French from French movies, I would say things off the start, at least, in very odd ways that French people will be like, "What in God's? This isn't a screenplay."
Just be quoting Pepe Le Pew all the time.
Yeah,
come on lines.
I've had that a lot, especially with English, because as you said, I learned it from movies and TV shows and stuff. But later on, I started picking up books that were translated or maybe had a side of English or something. And I started after accessing the internet in 2007 for the first time. Well, that was a whole nother world to explore. So I started reading that a lot there and posting on forums and stuff in English and Arabic. So that helped a lot as well.
I like to think you use stuff like yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker, in everyday language. Just like, you guys want to go to Chipotle? Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Yeah. From my teenage days, like 2003, 2004, I had a PlayStation 2, and I used to play Grand Theft Auto and Mortal Kombat and that kind of games. I also used to play a Siphon Filter game. Maybe you've heard of it. PlayStation 2 game, fantastic game. Anyway, so I was at a level where there was something going on in a closed room, and there was a whole thing going on. I basically couldn't progress in the level because I couldn't understand much of they would say or what the mission was. So I just go around. Apparently, I found a few Easter eggs about two people having sex in a room, and I had no idea what was going on. So 10 years later, I don't know how in the hell I came across it, but I was on the internet looking up Siphon Filter, and I see some video on YouTube about that exact scene, and it hits me immediately. I'm like, oh my God, this is it. So I click on it, and it's apparently two people having sex and saying some ridiculous things, basically some S&M shit going on. And yeah, that's ridiculous because I was like 13 and I had no idea what was going on. My mother was sitting next to me.
That is a lot of patience to be like, oh man, I want to play this game, but I can't read all of the instructions they're giving me. I guess I'll just figure it out. Like if so much of games are in English and they're like, oh, you need to go find the Ruby of Mystery if you're looking to find this side quest chest of treasure. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't have to do that.
Off
like,
the top of my head, like I remember Siphon Filter. I remember, what was it? Well, Grand Theft Auto, I mean, you just could go on a rampage. But a few games, Hitman, I wouldn't say Hitman 1 and 2. I remember specifically getting stuck on the first level because I had no idea what I had to do. I had to assassinate someone in a particular way, and basically couldn't read English, so that was that. So basically, every time I boot up the game, wait half an hour for the game to boot up on the PlayStation 1 or 2, and then just do the same thing, kill a few guys in the same level, and then turn off the game. That's why Crash Bandicoot was my favorite game, because it was so easy. You didn't need to do anything. You just run, crash stuff, and finish the level. That was fun.
That was a great game.
Yeah.
So when you first started watching American movies and TV shows and such, had you been watching American media for a long time at that point, or was that more when you first started, and before that you'd watch just more regional entertainment and such? I'm just trying to get a peg of like, that's right where you started learning English, and you didn't have any exposure to American media before you started buying those DVDs because you didn't have internet, I guess.
Yeah, because DVDs was my gateway, and I remember like I used to buy Lost and Prison Break, and every season that comes out, they would immediately download it via torrent and burn it on 1,000 CDs or DVDs, and then they start selling them really cheap. So I would always, I actually have like 1,000 DVD behind me in a closet. I brought them with me to the Netherlands, so I have them here. It's ridiculous.
Wow.
Like if I show you my collection, you'll be impressed. Like it's a shit ton of DVDs. Anyway, so yeah, that's the beginning of my learning English. That was my gateway. Like,
is it something? Was watching the American shows? Is that something that was totally fine at the time, where everybody's like, "Oh yeah, I like 24 too," or was it something where some people would be like, "Oh, what are you doing watching an American show, asshole?" Or was there any of that, or more just, watch what you like?
Yeah, you're mistaking Iran, because in Iran that you would get that look. In Iraq, they would be sold in shops just normally. No one, even like the militia, the insurgents, they didn't care about it. Like TV
I've heard
shows
The Simpsons The Simpsons is how a lot of people around the world apparently learn English. I think that's recently been overtaken by Friends as, the sitcom
Friends
or
is
the
one
program
of,
people use to learn.
I also watch Friends, yes. That was
you
also one of the things that taught me.
What if you pick Seinfeld instead and you just become a total narcissistic douchebag?
I also picked up Seinfeld. I was also I've watched pretty much everything. Like at that time, I always I still have Seinfeld and Friends. So
of course, these things are classics.
I wish everybody was learning English with Seinfeld instead of Friends. It doesn't impact me at all, but I wish I knew that was the fact out there, because it's just so much funnier.
Yeah.